is the rhythm of change. This is the sound of redemption. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. Igniting the fire within you. Exalting the melody of freedom. These are the things that will bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Down, down, down.
Let me tell you, it's in the air. Joy is in the air. Love is in the air. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Don't sleep on it, brother. You might get left, sister. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Justice. No need to be counted, cause I am down. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down. For the end of misogyny, that's right. For all the isms out there, just down, down, down. Let's bring it down. Rise up, people. No more foolishness, and let's bring it way down.
Riding the river of change into the cries of contrition. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. We are the children of Eden, dancing and celebrating freedom. We are the ones that must bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. We've got to bring it down. Down. Stand up and shout. Stand up and shout. Rise together.
Accountability starts now. The Eric Dawson Radio Show.
Yeah. Rise up. Stand up, shouting loud.
If you are not prepared to come to that table and to represent that voice, don't come. Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
having all kind of technical difficulties over here. But welcome. Happy Inauguration Day. Let me start there. Happy Inauguration Day. Let me say it again. Happy Inauguration Day.
Okay, fine. Yes.
Right? Right? Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. When Jesus washed. Hey, Diane. Jesus washed. Oh, when he washed. Oh, he washed all my sins away. Oh, happy.
Oh God. You ever been in one of those churches where they took one little song that was like 2 minutes and turned it into a 20-minute song?
It's called the remix.
Praise.
It's called the extended version. You know?
Yeah, the LP version.
Yeah, the LP, the extended version. Listen.
The DJ mix.
Yo, that's what I'm saying. Don't let DJ Mike get a hold of it. It won't even sound the same. It'd be laid over a 4x4 beat. Hey, man. So the message of today is have a good life. That's what Donald Trump said when he left. He said, and have a good life. I said, nah.
He said, "I'll see you on the other side."
Yo, he did. He said we'll be back in some form.
Yeah, right.
Right? He said that. He also said, remember us.
That's right.
Right? He said we're not going anywhere.
No.
75 million. We'll be back in some form. Hey, did you know he's investigating starting a third party
Yes, good for him.
called the Patriot Party?
Good for him. He's doing what this world needs. Stepping out of the norm. What everybody's
Diane, no. Diane. What the world needs now is love, sweet love.
There you go. So when you come out of the magic garden, you and stop swinging on the swings and
Oh,
to the score.
gosh. Hey, Diane, do you see me today? I look like a lumberjack.
No, I'm not looking.
My beard is out of control now. And
I'm gonna call him again.
you got. Listen, I am.
Let's get ready.
Listen, so I asked a question. So I'm gonna ask you, Vincent, and then Diane, I'll ask you, and then I'll answer it. Vincent, what does Inauguration Day mean for you?
Inauguration Day is basically the outward assembly of the American dream, which makes us the most watched and admired nation. Inauguration Day is the peaceful transference of power. It is where people are now bound to their getting ready to go in office. They're bound into their campaign promises. Their campaign promises in closed doors, and they are bound to do what we all said yesterday. Hope, which we didn't have time, leads to faith. Faith leads to the pleasing of God and acting into your wants and turning it into fruition. So the Inauguration Day stands the hope of America that, like the beginning of the baseball and football season, that the person that you favor will do well.
Diane, what does Inauguration Day mean for you?
So pre-Obama, it meant very little. Obama time, it was very exciting. And now post-Obama, I'm waiting to see, because the thrill is gone with watching the transition.
Listen, I love these.
What's happening? Go ahead.
The thrill is gone. The thrill is gone, baby. Who sang that song?
B.B. King.
There we go. And Lucille. BB and Lucille. The thrill is gone.
Now I want to see what you're going to do, because all I hear
hear now is the harping of, he's been in there for decades. Yeah, that's the problem. So now let's see what he's really going to do, because this was his third attempt running for president.
Yeah. They say the third time's the charm.
Yeah.
So,
Well, at least we know he's not a quitter.
so this particular inauguration day, what inauguration day normally for me has meant was just relief, right? A moment of peace from the propaganda, right? That comes at you for this is the longest they've run an election, right? They literally ran an election for 4 years, right? Literally the day of the inauguration of Donald Trump, they started a campaign against Donald Trump. And so they ran it for 4 years. And so for me, it typically is, I'm exhausted when I get to the finish line, right? And this is like, okay, fine. We can finally breathe. Maybe they'll talk about real news for once on these propaganda stations. But this particular inauguration day is like Christmas for me. It's Christmas. I got everything I wanted. Everything. Yes, I got everything. Diane, everything. Well, I got a Democrat president. Oh, wait. So I got everything. I got black people came out in record numbers and voted for a Democrat president. Black folks came out in record numbers to vote in a Democrat Congress. And black people came out in record numbers to ensure that we had control of the Senate. Right?
Who was we?
No. Listen. I valid question, who is we? Right? I count myself as part of the black tribe here in America. Right? So, I've been bellowing.
Hold up. You can't. You didn't vote for Biden.
No. I didn't. No. I'm saying I am black. I'm black. Even though some black people.
That's part of the accolade. Okay.
Right. No. I'm not taking credit.
Oh,
no.
Okay. So you got everything you want in Christmas because you want to see it fail.
No, I don't want it. No. See,
Okay.
not that I want to see it fail, Vincent. I want it to play out to its natural course. Right? Its natural course based on history. And history says, right, that black people are here to be the commodity to the wealth and power of the corporation of white supremacy. History has shown that black people have been the loyalist group to the Democratic Party. History has shown that the Democratic Party has shown black people their asses, right? All of those things. Now, here and then there have been excuses as to why black people have not gotten, right? Why black people are still hoping and wishing and praying and haven't gotten. And the excuse has been, well, we didn't have the Senate. Well, we didn't have this. Well, we didn't have that. Well, we couldn't do it because of blah. And what I'm saying to you now is all of those excuses are gone. That's my Christmas present. So now on a silver platter, now it ain't even a silver platter. It is a titanium platter, right? That the Biden administration rolls into the White House at about 1 o'clock this afternoon with zero excuses to do exactly what Biden said, right? He said, you had my back, and now I'm going to do what, Vincent? I'm going to have your back. So I want to see, Eric Dawson wants to be able to see. And you know what? If he does, I will give him all the credit in the world.
No, better than that. We're going to send you a dish of crow to eat.
Oh, no. And you know what? And I will eat, and you know what? And I'll get my Lowry seasoning because it goes well with everything. And I'll eat my crow. But
and your hot sauce.
and we'll leave that in Hillary's bag. But 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 I'll eat the crow, right? But I'll be grateful for what he does for black people. But the question I have is this, right? Are we prepared? Because we talk about the Stockholm syndrome, right? Are we prepared to look objectively now? Because we called it objective at Trump, right? We called it, even though I say that it wasn't objective, we were messaged to and we did what we were told. But let's say we looked objectively at Trump. Are we prepared to look objectively at Biden in these first 100 days? Are we prepared to scrutinize him like we were told to scrutinize Trump and call him out and then scream at the media to call him out? Are we prepared to do all of that?
So what you're saying is that we should be looking at him with the side eye.
Well, shouldn't we? No, but I'm asking the question. As black Americans here, shouldn't we be looking at government with the side eye? Shouldn't we? Wait, what did Ronald Reagan say? Trust, but verify, right? So if you want to trust him, I'm questioning that. But if you do, shouldn't you be looking to verify? Or are you just gonna wish and hope? So for me, this is Christmas.
My proposal that we make the list. Everybody put in 3 of his promises. We put it on a board and we check them off one at a time and see what happens between now and re-election. And listen, if he gets, 50% of it accomplished?
But Vincent, why do I don't care about any promise he accomplishes that does not close the gap between black Americans and everybody else.
You pick your 3
No.
that are specifically focused on closing the gaps. Okay?
No.
Everybody picks their 3.
No.
Let's see what happens.
For me it doesn't matter. Whichever ones. I'm not going to pick any 3. I just want whichever ones he decides to move with. So for instance, they're saying that he said what? One of his first business orders of business is to ensure that undocumenteds are not going to be deported in his 100 days. Right? So my question is, the thing that you're doing right now that you deem to be one of the most important things to do, how does that improve the lives of black Americans?
Well, no, I'm saying that you pick out what.
No, well, I just did. Wait, no, but I just did.
Okay, where is the opposition or harm in putting it to the actual litmus test?
No, but understand. So my litmus test is this: Black America. That's my litmus test. How does whatever you do improve Black America? Whatever it is. So now Then
let's put it on the list and see if it happens.
Well, no, I just did. I just said one of his first orders of business is to ensure that these 11 million undocumented will not be deported. And as a result, you've got more people coming to the border because they want to get here and be here before his 100 days because they know that if they get here and they make it across the border, they won't be deported. And I understand how that benefits them. I'm asking Mr. President-to-be, how does that benefit Black America?
That one that you said, how does what you said that you want to see, how does that affect Black America?
No, benefit. I want benefits. That's all I want. I want the bennies.
How does him not sending immigrants
benefit Black America? That's right.
Please elaborate on that one for me.
Well, I think it's pretty straightforward. I want to know. I want benefits, right? And Black America, we talked leading up to the election that we should value our vote, that we should get a return on the investment, right? So think about it, Vincent. If you were a venture capitalist and you invested in my business, right? you would then want to know how everything I do in the business was going to improve your bottom line because you had an investment in the business. You now are a stakeholder, right? So no matter what it is I do, you would want to know if I gave you a document to report on how the business or the things that the business is proposing to do. All you would want to know as an investor in the business is how that is going to improve the bottom line for Vincent. I could talk to you about
course.
right.
Of
So
course.
wait a minute.
You're absolutely right.
Right.
But as an investor, when I make an investing on a particular group, company, or project, I look at it, I put it on the board, and I watch what they say in terms of their pro forma happen. That's all I'm asking you to do.
No.
Put it on
So
the board, Eric.
right, no, but
Three of them.
no. But here, no. Hear what I'm saying. I'm putting stuff on the board right now, Vincent. So if we were we are stakeholders, right? So if
Yeah.
we're sitting down, so again, if you are a stakeholder in a business, you own stock in a business, and they're meeting to discuss a move forward strategy, right? You as a stakeholder, as a stockholder, what you would want to know as they're talking about proposed move forward strategies, you'd want to know how that's going to benefit your portfolio, right? How it's going to help you, right? So that CEO could talk for 25 hours, but all you would be listening for is how's that benefiting me? You're running your lips, but how is it going to benefit me? And until he or she, as a CEO, tells you how it's going to benefit you, you're going to be unsatisfied at everything. So they may have an agenda and say, today's meeting, we're going to talk about these three objectives for the business in this next quarter. Right? You go, okay, objective 1, objective 2, objective 3. These are the objectives of the business as put forward by the CEO, but you want to know as a stakeholder how those three things are going to benefit you, right? That's it. You could talk about the methodology, all these other things, but you, as a CEO, I'm going to challenge the CEO of any business to say to them, you put these things as priority. I'm an investor. I want to know, firstly, why these three things, and then how is it going to benefit my bottom line? And so all I'm asking is this. He put forward executive orders that he is going to sign in, right? I think there were 11 of them. He also talked about, the illegal immigrants. He talked about ending student loans, right? And so all of these things, they're there. I'm simply saying, as you put them on there, Mr. CEO, tell me now how it's going to benefit me as an investor, not how it's going to benefit somebody else, some other group, right? I want to know how it's going to benefit me. And so I'm asking you if you know or if you have any ideas of how him stepping forward and saying that for these 11 million immigrants, he's not going to deport anybody, right? And now that opening up the opportunity for more people to come over because they're not fearful of being deported. How does that help you as an investor, as a Black American who invested in him?
That doesn't help us. That pushes us backwards. That pushes their agenda ahead of ours. Because now, when you talk about opening up and letting more immigrants in, then that means resources are now going to be allocated to them and away from us.
See, I think that we, Vincent, at least this is where I am. I don't want to share, right? We need to be as focused on what's in it for us as everybody else is focused on what's in it for them. We're the only group of people that go and fight, and then we want to split the pie up amongst everybody else, including those people who didn't fight with us. In fact, most of the people who we're willing to split the pie up with fought against us.
Absolutely.
right? And then
Well,
at the
not
end,
willing to split the pie with, forced to split the pie with.
no, we're not forced to. See what I'm
Yeah.
saying to you? No, I'm trying to get people focused right now. See, if we focus right now and we realize that we're the dog, not the tail, right? And so we're not sitting, like I said yesterday, wishing and hoping, right? Being passive
Hoping and praying.
and praying, right? If we're not doing that, and if instead what we're doing is and this is why I said we need the media, right? We need the media, right? To be able to say, hey, listen, guys, you all used us and brought us on your networks, right? To give some importance to black people. You narrated our struggle, right? To benefit your your election results. You did all of that. And so now we want to come back to you and say, hey, wait a minute. We need you, or we demand, not need, we demand that you continue to bring us on your networks to talk about these struggles and challenges so that we can challenge the president about these things, right? Not marginalize us. You need to bring us on so that every single thing that he does, we can ask him, how is that benefiting us? How is you whatever you're doing, how is that having my back? Cuz that's what you said.
But you said it perfectly. Your network. Bring us on your network. It's theirs to do it with what they want to.
I
That's the
agree.
problem. We're still
always the
relying
case.
on them to allow us to get our message out.
Well, but you know what, Diane?
That's the problem.
No, but
We're
so
still relying on them and still relying on them. And 400 years, we are still fighting for acceptance of them.
no, I'm not asking for acceptance. See, so here's where I want to, and we can do this day one, right? Like, but it requires
That's
us
what
to be.
We're doing the board.
It requires us to be disciplined, right? So, in terms of the media, we are some of the biggest consumers, right? They benefit from us because they air their commercials and we buy those products.
$1.47 trillion.
Right. So we don't have to beg them. We can off ramp from them, right? We can say, listen, if you're not going to do this, then we're not going to watch your network. This is what I'm saying. So we have to make a decision, and we can make the decision right now. Are we the dog or are we the tail? See, are we the dog? Because they told us we were the dog, right? We were the dog. That's what they told us. I'm sorry?
As my grandfather used to say, if you're not the lead sled dog, the view never changes.
Right, but they said we were the dog, right?
It doesn't matter. You couldn't even get people to stop watching football to support Colin Kaepernick.
Thank you.
Well,
because there is not a huge we. The monolithic belief that black people can come together in power we only come together in the event of a tragedy.
And we don't come together for that. The problem with the black community is they don't believe they deserve to have better. So there
we go. I like
that's the problem.
But wait a minute. Work
with each other.
But I don't understand this.
Oh no, and they're afraid that if working with each other on this person's project, that means this person progresses more and gains more coins than me. So I'm not going to help him get rich.
So wait a minute. But wait. Didn't we come together? I'm using my air quotes. Didn't we come together to elect Biden? Wait a minute.
Not in a monolithic, but we did come together in a majority.
We came together. No. Well, so no. When we talk about monolithic, right? Mono one, right? The one thing that we came together on was stop Donald Trump. Right?
Okay, and I said no because exit polls show that Donald Trump got 12.2% of the black vote.
No. I'm not right. I'm saying the people who came together. I'm not saying the ones who voted for Donald Trump. I'm saying the ones who came together to vote for Biden. They came together, right, under this umbrella of stopping Donald Trump, under this
Donald Trump.
narrative of stopping
Yes.
Donald Trump. Right. So there was some. So we can say that there was some monolithic thinking or behavior, right, associated with those black folks who voted for Donald Trump. I mean, I'm sorry, voted for Biden. Voted for Biden.
Voted for Biden.
Right. That they were messaged to that, look, above everything else, right now, what we need to do, right, because we need to perform triage, right? We're in a desperate way, guys. The sky is falling. The world is coming to an end. Our democracy, as we know it, is crumbling in front of us. And what we need to do is we need to stop that guy. So get on board, right? And so we came together to do that. And so I'm saying, can't those people, the ones who did that, who came together for that, I mean, I'm asking a rhetorical question, but why can't they come together now to say, well, we did that, and so now
you're asking the question that Diane already gave you the answer to. That's the whole thing. Diane gave you very eloquently gave you the answer to. We don't feel as though we deserve it. We don't come together because we have black hate and black jealousy. We don't come together because we're always looking at not us, or as it was pre-Reconstruction, it was all about us. We were all black, and we were all doing everything to help increase the black. We do not do that now because it's all about me.
So when the black people came together to vote out Donald Trump, so we didn't come together for us then either.
Yeah, a majority of black people in some exit polls were voting against Donald Trump, one, because of his racist overtones and cabinet members. Some were voting against Donald Trump for the simple fact of his handling of the virus and what he was doing and how it affected black people. Some came together to vote against Donald Trump for his handling of the economy. And so it wasn't totally like a unilateral, we gonna stop Donald Trump because he the devil. No, it's we need to do this so that I can live. Or we need to do that so that we can get Mitch McConnell out so that I can get $2,000 on my stimulus check. Or we need to, vote against them so that we can get some bills passed, because now we find out that during the Obama period, Lindsey Graham and Moscow Mitch did everything, including publicly announced that they were going to make him a one-trick pony.
Okay, wait a minute. So if
to realize
right.
all the things that
right.
they have missed.
No, got it. So what I'm saying, based on everything that you just said, if that was the motivation, then why not on day one, right, exhort that people look and challenge for those things, right? So if people were motivated to vote Donald Trump out because of their survival, right? So they said, we need to have somebody else in here so that we can survive. Then what I'm saying in terms of black people, why not from day one challenge Biden to say, how is what you just did, how is that helping me survive? Right? What you just did, how is that helping me pay my bills as a black American? How is what you just did helping my child get a better education? How is what you just did? So all of those things, I'm saying exactly what you're saying, right? So if we realize we got the crappy end of the stick because Moscow Mitch denied Obama, right? And so we fought through that, and then we fought through Trump, and then we came out like gangbusters to vote for Biden, then why not now say We demand that all of those things that were held up by Mitch McConnell, all those things we were denied by Donald Trump, we want to make sure that all of those things, Biden, are taken care of and priority.
Well, there are groups on social media that are saying the same narrative that you're saying. And
I get that. So I get that. I get that in social media, right? Fringe media that people are saying it. What I'm saying to you now is this: that we need to be the dog wagging the tail everywhere. So not only on don't just relegate me to social media now, right? I don't want mainstream media that was carting black people out on their stages, trying to convince people that Black Lives Matter and that they cared about what we thought and what we said. And now we're relegated. Now that he's elected, right, and now he's going to be inaugurated. Now we're relegated back to our social media channels. No. I want to see the black people in the same percentages on all of those networks that they were when they were trying to convince black people that they cared about black people. I want us there now so that we can voice our concerns and challenge all of the things that this administration is going to be doing to make sure that all the things that were on Moscow Mitch's desk that never got passed, that those are priority now. Because what we were messaged is this, exactly what you said, Vincent. Oh, they wanted to do these things, but they never got passed because Moscow Mitch. So if those things were vetted and ready to go, except for Moscow Mitch, then those things should be set and ready to go. Make them executive orders now, right?
Well, let's so in the first 100 days, what Biden is saying on day one, what he plans to undo with the Trump legacy is one of the things is, and we can go through the list, re-engaging with the World Health Organization. So as Trump exited in May, he plans to contact them, and he'll dispatch the government's infectious disease expert, Anthony Fauci, to represent the U.S. Thursday on the WHO's executive board meeting. So that's what he's going to mask the mandate on the U.S. property. So he will require face coverings and physical distancing for everyone in the federal buildings and on federal lands. The requirement isn't itself likely to have major impacts on many federal offices because they're already closed. That's what he's going to do on U.S. properties. Simultaneously, he will launch a 100-day masking challenge, asking Americans to mask up for the first 100 days of his administration. Eviction and foreclosure moratorium. His actions on the economy are intended to aid people suffering because of the pandemic. He'll direct the federal agencies to extend the moratorium on evictions and foreclosures until March 31st. 20% of renters and 1 in 10 homeowners are behind on their payments. Biden's transition team said his administration will request additional assistance for Americans struggling with their housing payments as part of the $1.9 trillion relief. Another action will ease the burden on student loans. He will pause the accrual interest and principal payments on federal student loans until September 30th. Rejoining the classic. Yep, what'd you say?
Fall semester.
Right. Revoking the Keystone XL pipeline. So he's going to revoke the permits for the project and anything, including the Keystone XL pipeline, which was rejected by Obama only for Trump to approve it. Fuel standards and the use of federal lands. He will direct agencies to consider revising federal fuel economy and emission standards for vehicles, appliances, and construction. He will revisit Trump's regulatory agenda in regards to review what the result of a massive regulatory revision, also plan for broader measures for the administration. Will assist disadvantaged Americans, including a policy to make it easier for federal government to issue regulations. He will eliminate the no more money for the wall. He's expected to repeal the national emergency on the U.S.-Mexican wall, halting funding for Trump's signature border wall. He's
So
scrapping the.
can
Go
we
ahead.
pause for a second? Caller, I know you're on the line. Just hold one more second. I I just
Scrapping the travel ban. The incoming administration is scrapping Trump's travel ban on several Middle East, Central Asian, and African countries, most of them with majority Muslim populations.
I
Counting.
no.
Mhm.
So
Go
what I'm
ahead.
asking is this. So I get all those things. Now put on your Black American.
He's also joining the Paris climate agreement.
Yeah,
Accord.
that was the
Right.
beginning.
So put on your Black American glasses. I want you to see all of this through that.
Well, I was trying to get to something to see if there was going to be something black.
Right. So right. So the question
Student loans
the
is
que-
majority.
let
Benefit us, the benefit
let
white
me
people more because more of them are in college with student debt than us because of access.
so the question that I'm asking is this. How do what well, first we have to um come to some agreement on what our critical issues are, right? And then once we do that, we can see whether or not these things are being addressed. So, Vincent, you just said, well, student loan debt that benefits us, right?
Yeah,
So,
believe me, it benefits me.
well, no. So again, it benefits you. I'm talking
Yes.
about Black America, right?
Okay.
So when we look at Black America and we look at White America, right? Um, and we look at what's going to roll out in terms of a policy to alleviate the burden of student loan debt. Um, who benefits the most? So, because understand, we're always in competition, right? So we're not looking in a vacuum. When we look and see the needle moving, right, we see the gap between us and them. Does this close that gap?
Yes.
I don't see it closing any gaps. And what you're asking as a whole, how does it benefit us? Instead of being an individual, yeah, student loans going to help a lot of people. We understand that, but if we look at all of the inequities in our community and everything that was exposed in regard to this virus and this environmental disaster, we as an aid, instead of minimizing the 12%, 88% of a community. Tell me what other community voted lockstep at 88% for this man. So we have to be specific again in our acts and have him address the issues. And Eric is absolutely right that the airwaves are very important in the narrative. Instead of us talking about black people and what we're not and how bad we're doing, as you know, we broad in that sense. But then when we ask as a whole, what do we want as a whole? Oh, the student loans, that'll help everybody, and we're gonna benefit from that. No, we need some concrete steps that's going to correct some of these inequities in our community.
Right.
And if we're not careful, we let our own narratives get out there about ourselves that, you know, that we don't want nothing, we're going to sit home, we ain't going to do this, we ain't going to do that. We let our narrative get out there about ourselves instead of correcting the narrative about us. We're gonna end up in it, and see. And I want to make this point, then I'm gonna get off. Joe Biden was very comfortable and proud of the fact that he could work with segregationists. Now, if we give him a chance, he's gonna be very proud of that he worked with insurrectionists, and we can't afford that. We can't afford that. So he boasts half the time about being proud of working with segregation.
Here is my 2 cents on what you said. First and foremost, student loans does affect, if it has a huge, or forgiving
student loans has a huge effect if you are a black
That's what I
parent
said.
who
That's what I
with a
said.
child in college. So that part I agree with because I'm paying in terms of student college bills between me, my wife, and my daughter, I'm paying an average of $45,000 a semester. So yeah, we get some loans and forgive that. But the next is Joe Biden was very comfortable and took great pride in being able to work with people that he was at first to, the segregationists and all of those during that time period. This is a different time. Joe Biden this is a different. Well, let me finish, and then we can continue on. See,
I'm
Joe
just letting
Biden
you know I
now.
disagree.
Well, I know you disagree, but you can still disagree and be nice enough to let me get the words out of my mouth.
Well, keep going.
So, Joe, see,
And
now,
don't raise your voice at me.
Yeah, stop.
now Joe Biden is at a different time period. He is no longer negotiating from a position of being a pragmatist. He is now president. They are now negotiating because now he has the position of strength.
Vincent, you're giving him credit than he deserves. And let's be realistic. Student loan debt will help some people. But $10,000 in student loan debt, if I took $10,000 and gave it to each individual inside Camden, would that close the wealth gap? No, it won't.
No, well, giving a person $10,000 does not close the wealth gap. But for giving $40,000, which means that they can now get a good paying job because they have a degree, and now they don't have to pay 50% of their income to pay off their student loans. Giving them disposable income, that closes the wealth gap.
Stop screaming.
Vincent, your argument is deflecting from what Eric asked.
Yes, there are tons of people sitting on other people's sofas with degrees that don't have jobs. A degree does not guarantee you a job. A degree does not say you will close the wealth gap either. It doesn't give you that. It definitely gives you debt. That's what it's guaranteed to give you.
So forgiving the debt doesn't help them?
No. So what I'm saying to you, Vincent,
your own argument.
Vincent,
No, I'm not,
Vincent,
because the
wait.
majority of people who are going to get the debts forgiven aren't paying them anyway.
So wait a minute. So Vincent, what I'm saying is this: if you so we can agree to the data that says that a white household has 10 times the wealth of a black household, right?
Agreed.
Okay. So now, if in that white household that has 10 times the amount of wealth, that family is forgiving their student loan debt. And then in the household, the black household that has 1/10 their wealth is forgiving their student loan debt. Tell me how the gap is closed.
Okay. Well, let's look at white households and how they are progressing. A majority of them have already exercised a great deal of family wealth, which means that a majority of them didn't have to pay student loans. Their parents did, or pay for their tuition. The second thing is this. So now that they're paying tuition and they and advancing in positions that brings about now more wealth because they've got more money to invest and utilize that disposable income. In terms of the black family, where a majority of them do get student loans because their families cannot pay for their college tuition, which means that when they graduate, they don't have that disposable wealth because student loans hit you hard. So being able to now have more expendable income means that you are now able to invest more, bringing up and improving your quality of life and the wealth gap.
But you're missing what I'm saying. So I'm gonna try to break it down one more time. So Johnny, who's a white guy, right, white kid, in Summit, New Jersey, whose parents he's in college and he's got student loans, right? And then you've got Malik in Irvington, right? Whose family's got 1/10 the wealth as Johnny's family does, who's getting student loans relief as well now. So tell me how Johnny's household, right, who's getting the same student loan relief that Malik's household is getting in Irvington, how now they got that money in their pockets, both households, how the gap has closed.
See, now, in that narrative that you gave, it was totally different than the narrative that I gave. In the narrative that you gave, the student loan debt allows them both to the disposable income to continue on. In the narrative that I gave, because the majority of whites who are in college, most of them are not getting student loans. They are some that are getting student loans.
I'd like to see that data.
Most of their
Wait a minute.
tuition is being paid by their parents.
Wait.
So
No. I can't let you.
So I'll give you a perfect example.
Yeah.
Real life example. My daughter's friend has $160,000 in debt, in student loan debt. That's just undergraduate degree. Her master's, she was able to get her job to pay for it. $160,000 in debt. If she gets relieved $10,000 or $40,000, it's not going to do anything to increase her wealth. She is still going to have a roommate. She is still underpaid on her job, but she got all these degrees. So it does not guarantee that she's going to have more disposable money, because she won't. She'll still have.
If you're getting. Okay.
Wait a minute. Wait, Vincent, stop. I want to see, and we got to be careful when we say stuff, right? So I took the time while Diane was talking to Google, right? And so here are the statistics. Student loans by race and ethnicity. 55% of student loans go to white students.
Okay.
Right? 50.8% go to black students. Right?
Okay. Yes. Now.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Then it says 20% of loans go to black. No, I don't understand this part of it though. It says 55% of student loans go to white students. 50.8% of black students use student loans. 20% of loans go to black students. I don't get that. 23% to Asian students. All right. So yeah, it's something.
Okay. Now here is one point that's actually missing. As they say, 58% of black students in college use student loans. Okay, which means 42% don't. Now, what's the statistics of white kids that are in college that use student loans?
No, right. Well, no. It says 50. It says 55% of student loans go to white students.
No, we're talking about the entire student loan. Now they did the breakdown of how many black children use it, but I need the breakdown of how many white.
Right. So no. So then we can go do that research. But if you don't know that number, for you to make the statement that you made, which is that more white students get their college paid for.
If I wasn't driving, I would
no.
Get you to write the
right.
Number.
So right.
See, that statistic is right, but it also does not ask the right question.
Well, and what's your question again? Because I'm gonna try to find it.
Okay. Let's look at how many white children are in college and how many black children are in college. Let's look at how many white children use student loans and look at how many black children are using student loans.
So let me ask you this. So I want to start with the first question. So is your belief that there are more white kids in college than black kids?
Yes.
Okay. And so if there are more white kids in college than black kids, and then so what you're suggesting is, though you have more white kids in college than black kids, let's say, I don't know, I'm just going to pull a number out. 100,000 white kids, 30,000 black kids. Your suggestion is that out of 100,000 white kids, that the percentage of those 100,000 that actually have student loans comes out to be less than the black kids?
Correct.
Okay. Now that I understand, I'm gonna ferret the information while we continue the conversation.
Okay. So, but to add to Diane's point, listen, if anybody's getting $10,000 that they didn't have to, I can't see why that does not bring some level of improvement to their quality of life. Okay, or even if they're shrewd enough to invest it or save it, and not just go blow it out, on a trip to Cancun's.
Okay. Um. Um. Yeah. I'm looking at something through the Brookings Institute, and I'll be able to get this data from you for you very shortly because the headline is Black White Disparity in Student Loan Debt more than triples after graduation. So it's going to talk about that, but it's also going to break down the percentages. So I'll be able to get that to you shortly.
So blacks triple whites in terms of student loan debt.
Right.
Is what the headline is saying.
It says right. It says clarity. Right. It says black and white disparity in student loan debt more than triples after graduation. And so what they're saying is this, that which is what Diane said, that because blacks get lower jobs, right, lower paying jobs, that even though so I'm going to read the first paragraph. It says the moment they earn their bachelor's degrees, black college graduates owe $7,400 more on average than their white peers. Negative 23,400 versus they owe 23,400 versus the 16,000 of their counterparts, including non-borrowers in the averages. But over the next few years, the black and white debt gap more than triples to a whopping 25,000. Differences in interest accrual and graduate school borrowing leads to black graduates holding nearly $53,000 in student loan debt, and 4 years after graduation, almost twice as much as their white counterparts. While previous work has documented racial disparities in student borrowing, delinquencies, and defaults, in this report, we provide new evidence that racial gaps in total debt are far larger than even recent reports have recognized. So that's what the first paragraph says. But then it's going to break down, and then hopefully I'll be able to find the percentages as I read through this thing. It looks like it's going to.
The average student loan debt that a person carries is what now, Eric?
24,000.
24,000. I'm looking at an article. It's similar to that, and they talk about the student loan debt, what it's equivalent to. So that 24,000 is equivalent to putting down a 20% deposit on a house, or buying a brand new Audi or a Tesla or something like that, or a swimming pool, or even paying for a wedding or a startup business. So when you think about that, even putting that, saying that they don't have to pay out that money does not increase their expendable. It does not increase their profit margin in their household, because they have no money to give out to begin with. And when we go back to what you were saying, Vincent, about just the fluff that, yeah, you're paying it. I know tons of people who have walked away from their student loan debt and are not paying it. And they increase their income in their household either.
Well, God love them. But no, well, you're looking at, if someone doesn't have to pay $24,000, as you stated, that's the equivalent of a down payment of a house, which increases their wealth gap. That increases that gives them an opportunity. Yeah. That gives them the opportunity to start a business, which increases their wealth gap.
Vincent, that's equal to, that doesn't mean that that's money already set aside and they can do that with their money. They're just saying, they're showing the equivalent as to what you could do if you had that money in your hand. They're not
correct
in their hand. They're just relieving them of having to pay the debt. That's not money.
Well, okay, if I don't have to pay $25,000, does that not loosen up $20,000 that I had earmarked if I was paying my student loan bills? That's what I'm saying. You can't. It has to balance. If you're not paying, then that means that you have that income. If you are paying, that means you don't have that income.
Right, but what I'm saying to you is this: that the same way, because as I'm reading this stuff, I'm skimming through it. The articles. So here's another thing. It says 59% of Asian student borrowers still have educational loan debt. 67% of Hispanics and Latino student borrowers have educational debt. 70% of white and Caucasian student borrowers have student loan debt. 4 years after graduation, 48% of black students owe an average of 12.5% more than they borrowed. So everybody has debt, right? It's their ability to pay it down, right? And so to what you're saying, Vincent, they just wouldn't have to pay it down. So these households, these Asian households, these Hispanic households, these white households, their students are borrowing money too. They along with black households just wouldn't have to pay it back, right? So to your point, so to your point, the black student who owes an average of 12.5% more, right, because of their inability to pay it back and then being hit with fines and surcharges and all those other kinds of things, they wouldn't have that, right? Got it. But I'm saying that also the white household, the Asian household, the Hispanic household, they might not have accrued that additional debt, right, because of inability to pay, but that baseline debt they didn't have, and so they have that cash on hand in their homes as well.
Okay, so they do.
Right.
Okay.
And so what I'm saying is,
So
so if you're measuring that 12% that black families might not be able to pay because of that they may the additional percentage that's added on to their debt because of their inability to pay. If you're saying that now they're relieved of a student loan obligation, so they don't have to worry about that higher percentage now, and so somehow that puts more money in their pocket, and that's going to close the racial wealth gap.
no, I'm not saying that it's going to. I'm saying that it's a vehicle to do. It gives them a bigger opportunity to close that gap because now they have more tools than the opportunity that was not afforded to them because they were paying these high interest rates.
Right. So now, let's forward to, because what I say to you.
Or as Diane said, just because they got the money doesn't mean that they're going to invest it well. And if that money is equivalent to
They don't physically have money, Vincent. That's what you're not understanding.
no.
They have reduced debt that now they got $20,000 in their bank account they can allocate somewhere else. No, they're still struggling paying debt off. They just got $20,000 less to pay. That's it.
Okay. But if I got $20,000 less to pay, doesn't that give me the opportunity now to? Doesn't that $20,000 less lighten my struggle?
So
Yes, they have debt. Agreed. But now they don't have as much debt.
I tap out.
So
You win, Vincent. You win.
No, Lord, let me do the victory dance. Hallelujah! Thank you, Black Jesus. Thank you.
so
You doesn't make you right though, but you win.
so so my fear, Vincent, is that having
Yes.
that argument is going to put black people further behind. That if we're not fighting for something very specific, right? If we're spending this kind of time fighting for something that everybody benefits from, right? As opposed to black people fighting for black people benefiting, right? Because that's what, see, because I'm fighting and I'm going, I just want black people to benefit. And you're like, well, but we are benefiting even though they're benefiting too. And I'm like, no, but I want us to be laser focused on just us benefiting.
Okay,
Just us.
Let's look at that. Let again. Let us put the board up. If you guys guys send me a text of your top 3 on Biden's plans and agenda.
But we're going through it now.
Finish going through the list.
But we're going through it now, right? So
Okay.
relief of college student loans.
I'm at a disadvantage because I'm not near a computer, so I can't put the list of paper. That's why I said send it to me.
So
I will put it up.
So the next thing is counting non-citizens for U.S. censor. So if people are trying to figure out where I'm getting this information, it's an article that was written in Bloomberg, and it's titled "Biden Plans Sweeping Executive Orders to Unwind Trump's Legacy on Day One." So his next thing on his agenda, as I said, is to count non-citizens for U.S. census. And we talked about this before, how dangerous this is. So Biden also intends to end Trump's plan to exclude non-citizens from the U.S. Census, a change that could affect how congressional seats and electoral college votes are appropriated for the next decade. The next thing, bolstering sanctuaries and DACA program. Biden plans to repeal the Trump executive order that sought to crack down on undocumented people living in the country by withholding funds in so-called sanctuary jurisdictions, cities, and counties that don't allow police to cooperate with the immigration authorities. Biden would seek to strengthen the DACA program that provides deportation protections to immigrants brought to the country illegally as children. Protecting the
Dreamers.
For who fled the Civil War, Liberians. So Biden will also extend the deportation deferral for Liberians living in the U.S. under a 2-decade-old program designed to offer safe haven to people who fled their country's civil war. Racial equity review. Racial equity review of all government. Biden will order a whole of government, in quotes, racial equity review led by the Domestic Policy Council, directed by Susan Rice, that will require each department and agency to conduct a baseline review of whether its policies disadvantage any demographic group. The Office of Management and Budget will also undertake a review to more equitably allocate federal resources. The president-elect has promised to root out systematic racism from our institutions. Closing down the 1776 Commission, the project that Trump created last year to teach American students the foundational role slavery played in the nation's creation. New protections against discrimination. The new administration will sign an executive order prohibiting workplace discrimination based on gender identity and sexual orientation. And the last, ethic rules for political appointees. Biden will also implement new ethics rules for political appointees across the administration. So I don't see anything for Black people specifically.
Right. So right. So I got 3 things that I wanna focus on. One.
That's his 100-day plan, correct, Diane?
No, that's what he plans to do by executive order on day 1.
Okay, that's his day 1 plan. Okay, good.
Right. So again, I'm saying, I'm just asking in all of that, and I want everybody to, you do it on your own, but sift through the things that he has set as his priority on day 1. Right? And who is prioritized in his priority list? Right? Who will benefit the most from all of those things? Who will benefit the most? Right? Who gave the most in the election? And who will benefit the most on day 1 of Biden's administration? That's a fair question, right? And if you don't see equitability, right? Because this is an administration that's talking about equitability. If you don't see equitability on day 1, measured by, what did we do for him? And what is he doing for us? right? If we don't start on the right foot on day one, how do we correct it? Do you understand what I'm getting at? So I'm like, we can't pass by. This is a very, so for me, that's what I'm saying. Inauguration day for me, it's brilliant because I'm like, the guy has there are no excuses. All you have to do is do what you said you were going to do. You have our back because we had your back. Do it. Not tomorrow, today. Today is day one. Don't put us off to tomorrow. Amina's upstairs cheering. So did Biden get sworn in? Is that what's happening now?
No, he doesn't get sworn in until 12:01.
Oh, I don't know what she's cheering about, but she's cheering about
I
something.
think, yeah, they've got the black woman in the hospital who they had this tribute to the 400,000 plus that died of COVID,
Right.
and she was like a YouTube overnight hit. She was singing "Amazing Grace" to one of her patients who was dying of COVID, and they have her up there singing. I mean, this woman is beautiful, and they talked to her on CNN last night, and I mean, she was like a beacon of light in a dark soul. I mean, everything that was doom and gloom that she deals with, yet she still has that positive attitude of, we'll get through this.
All right. So listen, we're at 11 o'clock, or 11:12. Amina just texted me. She said the inauguration ceremony is started. So,
Yes.
So we'll look. All I want to do, see, you before we move on to Dr. Chris, because I got her queued up. You said hold the pedal to the metal, right? Your term was don't let your foot off the gas.
That's
So,
right.
so I'm asking, what does that look like? Because I just outlined what it looks like for me, right? Meaning on day one, measure what he says by what he does, and more importantly, how it impacts those who had his back. That to me
Okay.
is putting your foot on the gas or keeping it on the gas. Is that not?
Now, no, that's not to me.
Okay.
As
Oh.
to me,
Uh-huh.
I'm looking at the promises that he said in his campaign, that I've heard from his advisor, who is now part of his senior staff. In terms of what he said and put down and lift every voice, looking at those things and holding him accountable to those things, because they have a lot to do with racial equality, economic equality, and a great deal to deal with changing and righting some wrongs. It's a part of his acknowledging the American sin of slavery and doing something now to bring power and a voice to the powerless and the voiceless.
No, I get that, Vincent. See, that's all feel
Holding
good.
my foot to the gas is looking at that
Mhm.
and waiting to see if it happens.
Okay.
Now, we know it's not happening day one because only two of those things were actually listed that I consider has an impact on black people.
Okay.
But now the rest of it is okay. Yo, Joe, you did give me your cell number, so I'm gonna send you a text. Now, yo, Joe, I'm
Right.
gonna give you a call.
So-
okay, you're not answering my calls?
No, got
Let
it.
me call your
Got it.
secretary.
So my thing is,
Yeah.
so we know that it's not happening on day one, right? So when we log in tomorrow to do the show, is it fair for us to ask, is it going to happen on day two?
I think if we're going to look at what he put in his plan and in his 100 days, then we could go over this, for the next 100 days, and let's see what happens.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So my thing
like
is,
I said, put your objectives on the list, and let's see in 100 days if it happens.
right.
At least three.
Yeah.
At least three
Right.
in 100 days.
Okay, but we know it's not happening today.
Right.
Okay,
Well,
good.
Two of them that I like are going to happen, so I'm going to pick up two more.
Which two are happening?
Student loan and the level playing field in terms of all races, which includes blacks.
No, okay. I can't. I don't want to know what includes blacks. I want to know what's specific for blacks.
No. That's Eric Dawson.
No. You're right. You're right. And there lies, and there.
All black people should be thinking.
And there lies the challenge. But but even right here on the show, there lies the challenge, right? I'm having a conversation with a black man about being specific about blacks, and the pushback is no. I want to talk about everybody, and I'm saying that.
No. The pushback is that these particular items that I pick do affect blacks, but they affect everybody as.
Well, I think that's what I just said. I think that's what I just said. Caller, go.
I want to know what a level playing field is and how that looks. I can't hear what she say.
She said she wants to know what a level.
I want to know what a level playing field is and how that looks. You said that like that was a. I don't know. So what is a level playing field and how does that look? How is that going to be shown tangibly in 100 days? I didn't read the details of that. I did skim some of it, but how it looks is investigating that that blacks are being paid the same rate as whites, that blacks are getting the same interest rate level as whites, that blacks are. Today, they gonna bump my salary up to the girl across the street. Hey, hallelujah.
Right, but what? So this is what I'm saying, Jody, and I think this is why you're asking the question, right? In order for it to be a level playing field, right? You almost have to hold them in their place, and then advance us to catch up. You can't keep allowing the person. So I'm gonna use a track analogy, Vincent. You ran track, right? So here's a track analogy.
Yes.
So if they held black people back for 400 years, and then their counterparts ran 400 laps around the track, and then in year 400 somebody says, I'm going to create a level playing field for you, black person, but the white person is still running around the track, already having a 400 lap head start, and you're not doing anything specific for the black person to be able to catch up on some of those laps. You're allowing the white person just continue to run. And you're saying, I'm going to create something that is going to benefit both you, white person who's got a 400 lap head start, and I'm going to give you something too, black person. I'm saying, how are you leveling it? Until you say, I'm going to do something specific for you, black person, that recognizes that the white person has a 400 lap head start, right? Maybe I'll put some jets on the bottom of your shoes, right? You know what I mean?
Or maybe I'll just have Usain Bolt run against the slow white guy.
Yeah, but until you do something that catapults the black person, catapults them, there's no level playing field. It's not going to be level.
And it was kind of unfair for him to say that. That was like, I don't know, something in the whatever that thing was that he read, like that was a thing that he was going to do, a policy he was going to effectuate that was going to change the circumstances. I think that what he could have done, right, because it's already shown that the immigrant, which most of us black folks don't have no problem with that the fact that he was going for the first day of immigration, but he wouldn't listen, they want to sit it, right? So why didn't you just, even if it was for, I don't know, to wet Eric Dawson like palette, why didn't you put the Voters' Rights Act that they've been holding on the floor today? You have to sit it. So you know what's going to pass. Or the George Floyd Act that didn't even make it to the Senate floor. You could have did that day one. Why did you do that? Why is it all about all these other things, right, that, according to Vincent, will get through osmosis, right? It'll touch black folks' lives by osmosis. when you could have done something tangible day one to say thank you. It would have just been like that. Hey, thank you, black folks. I'm a pastor.
But you know what, Jody? But black people were already signaled to by Clyburn, right? Don't expect anything.
Don't be shy about it, Eric. Call it fish fry.
Right? No. Because I don't want to. I don't want to distract from the reason I'm not doing it is because no. No. I don't want. I'm not doing it. See, and I didn't do it intentionally because I don't want to distract from what I'm getting ready to say. Fish. So Clyburn.
Girl, we want to stay focused.
Right. So Clyburn, he signaled Clyburn, who was head of the Negroes, signaled that there was nothing specific that was owed. Right? He signaled that. And you know what happened? To me, that was like taking the temperature of the black community because black people were not outraged. See, those people who came and voted, they didn't say, what the F? They didn't do that. They literally, so the entire establishment saw that black people, by and large, were willing to lie down and allow Joe Biden to run a government that wasn't specific toward black people. Because that guy who breathed life into him said to those black people that he heard it, hey, listen, I'm not asking for anything. Translation, and neither should you. Let him just go and do what he's gonna do. See, and so that is my concern. And I'm telling you, we're gonna have look, my fear is that when we get to day 50, day 60, then more excuses are gonna start coming out, right? Because we're still not gonna be atop his list of things. And I agree with you, Jody, that he could have done some very specific things day one that gave a nod, that gave more than a nod, right? But said, hey, listen, I understand that black people have power, right? Because that's what we argue about here, whether black people have power or not, right? If Joe Biden believed that black people had power, right? If he believed that Stacey Abrams and Clyburn and the Congressional Black Caucus was going to marshal black voters in opposition to Joe Biden, if Joe Biden didn't speak specifically to black people on day one, maybe he would have. But I think that he realized that all of those people I just named were going to sit back, that they weren't going to say anything, right? And so now here we are. And so and here's the other thing. On a local level, right? Let's see now how many of our Democrat candidates or Democrat elected officials, right, start challenging Biden on day one for what we're not getting. Day one, they should be challenging him. Day one, what we're not getting, what we should be getting. There's going to be silence. And the silence is because of what I told you yesterday. Because they have no power. They have no power. They're waiting for instructions on high. And they're happy to have their political seats. So they won't be challenging Biden. They're all taking glam shots with him right now. Are you kidding me? They're all feeling good. I'm looking at literally, our elected officials right now should be like, yo, let's marshal the energy of the black community and let's examine what's going on. But instead, they're like, what is the word? They're clout chasing. They're clout chasing. It's sad.
It is. Listen, I'm happy today, but I'm only happy. The orange dude gone. Old happy day, right? I'm putting it on everyone's thread. Say something. Old happy day. I found me a gift that encapsulates that moment. I'm so excited about him just being gone. But I don't think much will change. That's not for you or me. And the fact that he is arrogant enough to not put anything on the floor for us says just how much he does not respect as a community. He just cattled a vote. That's all that was, and that is sad, but true. There aren't two gone. Oh, happy, yes, okay, okay, and that's that.
All right.
It's honestly sad that I even feel that way. That I just like wanted that piece of history to be gone, and let's move on. But it's not like I feel like we're moving forward. We're just moving on. That's it. Bad.
Wow.
Sorry, but
No.
love you.
So, I'm just gonna go right into, if I can find it, go right into Dr. Chris, and we're gonna pick up from where we left off. You guys, as always, tell me to pause, and then we'll try to unpack it. We got just over half an hour to go through some more of her brilliance with regard to COVID-19 and the vaccine.
Meaning they have the same efficacy or effectiveness, and they have the same side effect or safety profile. Okay. So when I start to describe side effects to you, I'm going to use myself as an example, as a part of this narrative, as well as using the millions of others and what has been reported. The Moderna vaccine trial that I participated in was roughly 30,000 Americans. The Pfizer trial was roughly 44,000 Americans. So before we could get to the point where the FDA, through emergency use authorization, could approve both of these mRNA, messenger RNA vaccines. Listen, here's another point of truth so you can dispel misinformation. These are examples of the first messenger RNA vaccines to make it to market and to be approved. But it's not the first time that we knew about the science. We've learned about messenger RNA as far back as about 30 plus years ago. And cumulatively, through the years, most recently, because of outbreaks, related viruses in that SARS coronavirus family, respiratory viral infections or illnesses, MERS, and SARS, we learned so much. We learned about the spike protein. I'm going to talk about that when I tell you how these vaccines work. We learned that if you could attack the spike protein, that you would most likely be able to neutralize the infection. Okay, so when we were able to, we, meaning the scientific community, I say that a lot, when we were able to sequence in China first, sequence the genetic code of coronavirus in a matter of days. Pfizer, and in a matter of days, Moderna, working with the NIH, was able to design these messenger RNA vaccines. Why is that important? Because that quick amount of time is what contributed to the fact that we were able to have vaccines go through clinical trials in less than a year and be able to be approved on this preliminary basis. It's that. It's the science, folks. So when people say, I don't feel comfortable with the vaccine because the amount of time, I hear you, and I understand. But I also want you to know why we were able to do that. We didn't just discover this science. We've known about this science. We had a leg up. And because the science itself is unique, it is game-changing. The science doesn't require us to grow viral proteins in a lab. The science doesn't require us to grow viral proteins in chickens or eggs. The science allows us to say, this is the genetic sequence of this virus. I can design a messenger RNA vaccine in the lab in a matter of days. That is mind-blowing. That allowed us to bring these vaccines to market sooner. Second thing that allowed us to bring these vaccines to market sooner, the fact that we had so much investment by the federal government into the process. And I hear we have all-time highs of skepticism and distrust of the federal government because of many of the reasons that I just explained. But this is an example of smart governmental action. Because the federal government invested in this process, $9.5 billion, drug companies were able to do something that they normally do sequentially, meaning they do one step first, then do a second step second. They were able to do them in parallel. They were able to test the actual vaccine candidate and have people like myself participate while manufacturing doses. If the federal government had not given that money, the drug companies would not have done it because it would not be a financial incentive. If they would have lost money to work on manufacturing something before they knew whether or not it worked. So the federal government said, I'm going to remove the risk to you so you can only focus on the science and the logistics. Remember that, because that is important for the public to know as we create pressure and advocacy for other issues, other diseases, especially diseases important to Black and brown communities, for there to be priority around sickle cell, for there to be priority around HIV, AIDS, and finding answers and solutions. On average, this process can take 7+ years, but we did it in less than a year because of the type of science and because of the investment of the federal government.
So I want to pause for a second. So remember yesterday I said that they didn't give credit to Donald Trump. So when we talk about politicizing this thing, that lives were lost because of politicizing it. When I turned on Gayle King this morning, she said today, she didn't say it before, but she said today on her show that Donald Trump deserves credit for the vaccine. She said that today. And I say to you again, if they had said, because this is what Dr. Chris is saying, right? She's saying she's saying federal government, but Donald Trump being commander in chief, well, former commander in chief, was the federal government, right? So him releasing this money was critical, right? And it was a good decision on his part, smart decision on his part, and he just wasn't given credit for it, which led to the frenzy overall, but specifically within the Black community because of all of the other underlying mistrusts, right? So we were told not to trust, and then not to trust Donald Trump and to stop Donald Trump. And Donald Trump has done no good, right? We need to get rid of him because the sky is falling. We're dying because of him. And so the thing that he did do, they didn't give him credit because the momentum was on the side of the Democratic Party. And now we got to get the message out to people to let them know. But I got to say, guys, I'm encouraged. Oh, I'm not even on screen anymore. I just paused it. I'm encouraged. I talked to quite a few people who said they weren't going to take the vaccine, who are now scheduled to get the vaccine. So I'm encouraged. And some of those people said, they listened to the show, they listened to Dr. Chris, they saw the watch party that I did, or they saw her live Zoom thing, and that they're going to get it. But then some of those people who called me or DM'd me and told me that they were going to get it, this is a strange thing. I was going to ask this question last night. Is saying you're going to get the vaccine or asking somebody if they're going to receive the vaccine, is that like asking somebody who they voted for? Right? Does it gen up that kind of like hardcore conversation as opposed to just, well, it's your right to get it? And the reason I asked that question is because some of the people who called me, they said, I'm not even telling my family I'm getting a vaccine because I don't want to hear any shit. I'm just going to go get it. Because my family or my mother or my father or whoever, they don't want to get it and they've been in my ear about it. And so I'm just going to go get it. How crazy is that? Thoughts, anybody? No? All right. Well, I'll keep playing Dr. Chris.
We did not cut
really
corners.
hate
Oh, wait a minute.
the oxygen.
I'm sorry?
I said, I really hate giving that ignorance the oxygen to grow.
I do too, Vincent, but it is real, right? Because people are struggling with what to do. And they're struggling with the real pressures, right? Societal pressures, family pressures, on what to do, being shamed or ridiculed for wanting to do what's in their best interest. Right?
Well, I think this is one of those things you're going to have to vote in your conscience that you know what you're doing is fundamentally right. And forget what everybody else says, because when you make the wrong decision and you are dead, what good of what everybody said is going to help you?
I agree with that. All right, here's some more Dr. Chris.
Okay, we had scientists like Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett. If you have never heard about Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett, stop, Google her. She also goes by Dr. Kizzy. And look her up, a Black woman scientist, an immunologist and virologist, who was a part of the team that designed this messenger RNA vaccine. And it's very important that I tell you that, right? Because of that historical legacy and the ongoing disparities that we face, because of the Tuskegees, because of the Henrietta Lacks, because of the Lucys, the Betsy's, the Anarchas, because of the Dr. Susan Moores, it is important that you know that we had people involved in this process who look like you and I. And even if you're not Black, or if you're not Latino, or if you're not Indigenous, it is important that you know the power of diversity and the power of inclusivity, because we're all in this together. What is racism? I'll use Dr. Cameron Jones's definition. Racism is a system of structuring opportunity whereby one group is disadvantaged based on their phenotype, meaning their color, what they look like, their appearance, and a social construct of race. Another group is advantaged based on their phenotype and social constructs of race. But the whole society as a whole, we are impacted. Our strength is less. Racism makes us weaker as a nation. And we saw that in the insurrection in the Capitol. Okay, and so I'm a public health physician. I'm a health equity doc. So I'm going to always spit it to you real. And I'm always going to talk about systems. And I'm always going to talk about things like that because they matter. Okay, a few more things that I want you to see before I minimize the slides. Okay, where have we gotten vaccines in arms? Okay, I told you, and you see here, this is an excerpt from Bloomberg. 31 million doses have been distributed. Of those doses that have been distributed means sent to the states. Those are the numbers that have been administered. Recall, it's about 1 million more than the CDC, because the CDC is off by a day, about a day and a half, and we're approaching about 1 million vaccinations a day. Look, I want to call out some states. Look at New Jersey, where I am. 51% of our shots have been used in New Jersey. But look at another state. Look at North Carolina, 32.6%. That disparity is what allows this nation to continue to be at risk. And people will say, well, perhaps that disparity is due to some of the skepticism. Perhaps that disparity is due to the lack of trust, because public institutions haven't demonstrated trustworthiness at all times. But a lot of that disparity is because of a lack of logistical planning from the federal government to ensure that appropriate resources and staging resources in particular are in place in states and working with municipalities to effectively distribute the vaccine. So you see that uneven performance. I want to give you a few more examples of that. Look at these are from Arizona to New Mexico. So New Mexico, 53%, Connecticut, 56.5, Oregon, 56.5, then a Minnesota, 39.8, a Washington, a 34.8. Look at Alabama, 29.3. That's a disparity associated with geographic region. Okay, and just one more. Look at Puerto Rico, only 33.4. I want you to also look at did we pass West Virginia? Let me go back. West Virginia, I want to call out West Virginia. West Virginia is doing the best, okay, among states. West Virginia has administered 73.4% of its vaccines. That's where we need to get to as a nation in order to establish herd immunity. What is herd immunity? Herd immunity is when we get to the critical mass of the population being vaccinated or having natural immunity, but we can't do natural immunity because that would be catastrophic. That would be genocide, meaning millions of people would potentially die. But herd immunity by vaccination means that a critical mass of the population is vaccinated, so it slows the spread of the virus. Because there will be certain people who can't be vaccinated, and I'll explain who those people are, or there will be people who get vaccinated and the vaccine won't be as effective. No vaccine is 100% effective. Pfizer and Moderna are practically 95% effective. Mind blowing. Again, that is something we have not seen before with vaccines, and that is something that the messenger RNA vaccine has brought to the table. Okay, 94.5 and 95% effective rates. Okay, so it's very important that I show you this. But again, thinking through the lens of equity, how many Black Americans have received COVID vaccinations? Okay, so 16 states are tracking that data. One thing I need to point out, every state should be tracking that data. We should be tracking race and ethnicity. We should be tracking gender identity. We should be tracking region, just so we can see the different factors, whether someone lives in an urban area, a rural area, a metropolitan area, so we can see the factors that might be influencing or shaping the outcomes. So look at Mississippi. Right? So so far the vaccine is available to 1A and 1B, okay? 1A, healthcare workers. 1A, first responders. 1A, those seniors living in long-term care facilities and those working in long-term care facilities, right? But look at Mississippi. Look at the share of vaccinated who are Black, right? About 15%. But then look at the state residents who are Black, approaching almost 40%. Look at the health workers who were Black, also just shy of 40%. So there's a disparity there. So what is Mississippi doing to meet that disparity? Because as long as inequities are perpetuated, we will not be able to solve the disproportionate impact of coronavirus on historically excluded communities. So I just wanted you to see that. Okay, how do these vaccines work? Okay, I'm almost done with my slides. I smile because one, I'm a public health scientist, public health physician. Yeah, I'm a scientist too, but a public health physician, and I love the science. Okay, I'm passionate about public health. If you haven't, discerned that yet from today. But the way that these work, I heard a past director of the CDC describe it this way, and I think it's really cool, so I'm going to use it. Messenger RNA naturally occurs in your body. Okay, messenger RNA, ribonucleic acid, is not DNA. It is genetic material, but it's not DNA. Okay, so if I make a big circle, and that's your cell, in the center of that cell is my fist, is the nucleus. In that nucleus is where your DNA lives. Okay, that says who you are. Okay, genetically. Outside of that nucleus, in the cytoplasm, so that's that sticky substance of the cell, is messenger RNA. Messenger RNA does not go into the nucleus. Messenger RNA has a genetic instruction that says make these proteins. So it tells the body to make enzymes that help catalyze reactions or to make proteins that are important to cell structure. That's what normally happens with messenger RNA. So what these vaccines did was mimic the properties of messenger RNA and said, if I take the genetic sequence of coronavirus, but not the entire thing, if I take the genetic sequence of the crown, you saw in that previous slide, it was a picture of coronavirus. It was a circle and it had this crown, right? Those are spike proteins on that coronavirus. If I take the genetic sequence that codes for the protein and I wrap it in fat, okay, so that's the lipid soluble substance, I inject it into your arm, we can use your body to do what your body normally does. It goes into the cell, not the nucleus, so it never changes your DNA. That's disinformation that people have spread. There's not a chip in the vaccine. That's disinformation that people have spread, okay? So I'm always going to check the disinformation and the misinformation so you can be informed, so you can check it when you hear it. So it goes into your cell, okay? In your cell, the body says, wow, here are some instructions. Snapchat. It's a Snapchat message, and that's what Dr. Frieden said. It's a Snapchat message. Why is it a Snapchat message? Because it's there in your body long enough for your body to say, oh, make this protein or make this aspect of the protein, the body starts making that protein, which is similar to the protein that occurs on coronavirus. Fact number 3, that's very important. You are not being injected with coronavirus, so you cannot get coronavirus from the vaccine. Let me say that again. You are not being injected with coronavirus, so you cannot get coronavirus from the vaccine. Okay? You are being injected with an instruction sheet, a blueprint that tells your body to make certain aspects of the protein that are very similar to the spike protein. Your body makes multiple copies of this protein, starts to accumulate. The body says, what are all of these proteins that are not normally here? The body treats them as foreign and says, wow, let me mount an immune response. So the body begins to produce antibodies, your T cells and your B cells, and we won't get all into it. They start to get activated, okay? And they teach your body how to fight that protein.
So, Vincent, are you still there? I'm not sure.
I'm still here.
So, you know, um, there, you can't dispute any of that science that she just spit.
Oh, well, let's see. What is that psycho doctor? Oh, there's an OBGYN who says that, they're injecting nanos that's going to turn your body into a 5G and that's going to allow Bitcoin to take your money. Also, that it changes your DNA. There is no DNA involved with the RNA. And, oh, yeah, a microchip. How many times have we heard that, they were sticking microchips into human beings?
Right, but you know why? You know why they're allowed to do that? Because of the ignorance of the people who are listening. I'm saying that not in a disparaging kind of way, but just the fact, right? If you don't read, if you're not knowledgeable, then you're ignorant of these particular facts. And then I was listening to how Dr. Chris was laying it out, and I could hear somebody saying, see, they are injecting stuff in you. See, when Dr. Chris says a blueprint, right? If you if you extrapolate that word from what she said without proper context, you might conclude, having listened to these conspiracy theorists, see, they're going to inject a blueprint in me that is going to, and then they're going to be able to manipulate me through 5G or a nanochip or all these other kinds. You understand what I'm saying to you, Vincent?
Yeah, because they nitpick certain words
That's
and then
absolutely
change
right.
the narrative to fit their purpose.
That's absolutely
That
right.
happens a lot.
That's absolutely right. But I think that the way that, and I'm not gonna step on what she said. I'm gonna just continue to play it throughout, and then we'll pause again if we need to. Here we go.
Okay, so the instructions goes away. That's why it's a Snapchat. It gets degraded. It goes away. All right, your body has these cells, these immune system cells, immune cells that stick around. They create memory so that if you are exposed to coronavirus, if you are exposed to the real thing, if you are exposed to the full complement, your body already knows how to fight it. That's how this vaccine works. That's it in a nutshell. That's the science that is so profound yet so simple. And that's what you feel. I saw that question. Someone had a question about, they wanted to know about the side effects, and I'm going to talk about that. But that's what you.
So you know what? I wanna say this, and I'm gonna break it down a little bit more than what Dr. Chris said. Maybe she did, but the fact that she used blueprint, right, is a so if you don't have coronavirus, never had it, your body doesn't know what to look for in terms of fighting it, right? And so, because your body doesn't know what to look for in terms of fighting it, if you get coronavirus, now your body has to start to do some work, right? Because now you have the full complement of the virus. and your body is now working to fight it, which is why people then experience all of the things that they're experiencing because your body is now in fight mode.
Right.
What Dr. Chris is saying is that you want to train your body. So if I were to use this, tell me if I'm online, Vin. So almost like if you're a football fan or a basketball fan or baseball fan, you have training camp before the season starts. And the reason you have training camp before the season starts is because if you don't, the players are rusty. They're not going to perform well, right? They're more likely to sustain injury because they did not get themselves into proper shape, right? So the vaccine is like training camp for the body, right? Where they inject this messenger NRA that says, hey, this is a thing that you may have to fight and compete against at some point. I want you to see what it looks like so if it ever shows up, you can deal with it. Right? So it's not the actual virus, but it says this is what it looks like. So now prepare for battle. Does that surmise it? Right? So we're gonna keep going.
Yes, it does.
You feel when you get injected. You feel your body working. You feel your immune system working. Okay, this is very, 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 very important. So when we looked at the reported side effects of persons who participated in that first, I shouldn't say first, in the Pfizer vaccine trial, right, and made it to phase 3. That's the phase I participated in Moderna. These are the reactions that most people got. These are side effects, okay? These are normal. These are to be expected. These are routine. I want to emphasize that. These are side effects. These are normal. These are to be expected. And these are routine. Okay. All right. So pain. Did anyone get their flu vaccine this season? Hopefully you did. Pain on injection site. Okay. All right. Redness. That can be common, but not as common as pain. Fatigue is common. Feeling tired, all right? Headache is common, all right? And muscle pain. So the things that are highlighted in green under any reaction: pain, fatigue, headache, muscle pain. That's mostly what people are going to experience, all right? The second dose, look at the difference. You still see 66.1% having pain. You still see a large amount of those who've been injected having fatigue. It actually goes higher. What we saw is that in younger persons, not necessarily in the older persons, but in younger persons, you had more side effects reported, okay? So second.
And I'm not sure why it continues to cut off there. But right, and almost at 11:55 again.
Yeah.
But what Dr. Chris was going into, and I'm gonna go back to the example I gave about training camp. Well, when you enlist your body in training camp, right, for a particular virus, right, or disease, it is going to begin to work. Right? So when she says side effects, like these are the things that you can expect to happen as your body is working, building antibodies, right? But no different than if you were an athlete going into training camp after being off season. When you come out of the gym, you can expect that your muscles are going to be sore, right? You can expect that you're gonna, that you're gonna be tired because you're just getting back into the gym. You're getting back into exercising, and so this idea of getting the vaccine, and folks, and this is again, Vincent, where I just amass so much disdain for the anti-vaxxers and for the conspiracy theorists. Is that they know that when you get this vaccine that these side effects are normal, right? Now they have things that and Dr. Chris goes on, and this is where the video cut off, talks about the difference between side effects and adverse effects, right? Because there's a difference, right? Side effects, which are things that they expect, and adverse effects, which are things that should not occur, right? Like she talked about anaphylaxis and other kinds of things that shouldn't occur. And if those things occur, then just like any other medicine that's out there, they say if these things occur, you should stop use immediately, right? And seek your physician. But the side effects, mute your phone, Vincent. But the side effects should be expected. And you just roll through them, understanding what your body is doing, which is, again, and I underscore this, it's preparing to do battle in the event that it needs to do it. All right. I hear Joe Biden upstairs talking. Mina has television on, so I guess she's recording it for me, so I'll be able to watch it and be able to comment on it on tomorrow's show. But
yeah, I was doing the same thing. And you got 3 minutes left in the show.
Yeah. So listen, guys. I'm gonna try to find out. Maybe I'll have to download Dr. Chris's video so that I don't have to stream it live from a watch party, and I can play it. So we'll try to have where we left off today, dealing with her talking about the side effects, and then moving on to adverse effects, and then more about DNA and mRNA, all those kinds of things. But I'm going to go back to how we started the show. It's Inauguration Day. I see people, and I just got this, and maybe I got it wrong, but I want to clarify this. Are people putting pearls on Vincent because she's an AKA? Is that it?
Yes, they are. In fact, my wife has her pearls on, and they've got the entire AKA outfit. It is a wonderful day for their sorority, because keep in mind, there is not one sorority or fraternity, or in the African-American sorority or fraternities, that have a vice president.
So why doesn't Kamala have her pearls on?
Well, you're going to have to talk to Kamala's people.
Right,
but as far as the AKAs, and talking to my wife and a few other basilisks, they are wearing their pearls. In fact, National has dictated that they wear their pearls.
No. I understand now why everybody else is wearing their pearls, right? But I'm saying, why isn't Kamala wearing her pearls? And this is what I want to leave you with.
I couldn't tell you why Kamala's not wearing her pearls. Okay.
Right.
You have to talk to Kamala's people.
No. But
I keep getting a voicemail every time I call.
No. But I mean, it's a rhetorical question, right? Like, so neither of us are gonna call. But don't you? But if all of these folks are identifying with her, right? And they're proud of that piece of it, I just find it strange that she wouldn't put pearls on. Anyway, this is something that an AKA posted. And this is why, as ADOS, I push back against Kamala being foundational Black American. The post says, today, January 20th, 2021, in honor of the first Indian Jamaican American female. I'm going to leave it right there. That's how they, right? We're going to leave it right there.
Nice of you to start an argument at the end of the show.
At the end of the show.
This is tomorrow, okay?
The first Indian American, the first Indian Jamaican American female.
Didn't we have the conversation of
we're going to get into it tomorrow.
Obama being considered a black man, yet he was
we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it tomorrow. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going up to Rewind, and I'm going to watch the inauguration, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. And as Vincent says, if it's God's will, we'll see you tomorrow.
God's will. We'll be back tomorrow to express the inauguration and probably get some insight on why Carmela is not wearing her AKA pearls.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna try to